as dead, passive. Things you can just say yes, no, tell me please. Someone else should be here. Wow, you were not here yesterday. So apart from any other person, I thought that is one of the love. You never had nobody that no. Any other person apart from nobody gets no idea.
Okay, so please, if at any point in time I'm going too fast or you need clarification or something, please just call me. So we're going to talk about.
So someone asked Python has a lot of applications, but we are only interested in Python for machine learning. You can use Python for web. If you heard something called Jaml before, you can use Python anything and almost everything is Python. Do you have it? So you start to apply things on the see it. So I hope I've answered the question of that person. Please go to the slide and look at it. Sorry, I'm forgetting. Please go down. Nothing else.
Okay, should I start from here or should I start from the coding? Should I start from here?
Anyhow.
Okay. So we're introduced to Python and now it said that we are learning Python for data science and Python can be used for anything. So just have it behind your mind that at the back of your mind that anything you want to do, there's a way to do it with Python, possibly. So, but then when it comes to writing code, we have 3 ways of writing Python code. We have the unstructured, the procedural, and the object-oriented. For the unstructured, it's just like having a notebook filled with codes. It is not into cells, just like our digital notebook is divided. Writing codes that will make it hard for you to debug and to use this type of writing for large program files as it's quite easy to manage. Then when you talk about the object-oriented, it is creating objects or just like making life easier for you. If you know that this code, though, you want to like, you might need to come back to it later, or you might need to use it in another place, not necessarily in that notebook. You can just like write it in an object-oriented form so that later you can just like use it without having to go through the whole process of defining the object but then there are still resources there for you that you can go through later. So we are going to start with basic arithmetic in Python. Open your Jupyter notebook, please. You don't need to be on this notebook. Just go to like your own new page. So as we are learning, you can practicalize.
Yeah, I think that would be better. So open a new notebook. We did that yesterday.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah. So we are in new notebooks.
Okay, so while in Jupyter Notebook or generally, Python can perform basic arithmetic operations without having to call the print or telling it to do something else. You can just Python to add 2 plus 2 together for you, and it's going to add it. So inside the first cell of your notebook, tell Python to add any 2 numbers for you together, and then run that. Let's see if you get an error or something like this. Any arithmetic operation, basically, you can do maybe 98 minus 76 and you get your answer to. So, and use asterisk to signify your multiplication, the times symbol. Then function, if you are dividing 2 whole numbers, it gives you in floats. Like if you divide 2 integers, it returns to you in decimal places. Then if you want to convert it from decimal to integer, you can actually do that. We'll get to that stage. When we get there, we'll figure out back to integer. And you can also do raised to the power, like raised to power that we do in maths, like 2 squared, 2 raised power 2. You can do it too, just by using 2 asterisks. That is multiplication in 2 places. And that gives us 8. Then also you can do like board mass, order of operation. Basically, here we have this is 2 raised to power 3/2, so it works normal way. If I run the code, this is it, 2 raised to power 3/2. It's just like square root of 2 or something. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. So then when we talk about order of operations, we talk about board mass. Python works like with board mass. First, this for this particular cell that is highlighted, we have 1 minus into bracket 10 plus 1. That is 1 minus 11. Because Python adds the 10 plus 1 that is inside the bracket together first. It treats the bracket first before it comes out to see whether it has something by the left or something by the right. So that's how we have 1 minus 10 plus 1, and that automatically gives us minus 10. 1 minus 11, that's like minus 10. Then to this last cell, it is also talking about order of operations. You have 1 plus 2 times 1000 plus 1. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 1000 plus 1 is 3000. It's treating the
1000.
oh sorry 1001. 1000 plus 1 is 1001. So it's treating the inside each bracket first before it comes to multiply it together. So it gives preferences to bracket, like it follows the board mass operation the way we are supposed to do to if we are calculating it.
Any question? So we just covered basic arithmetic. This next slide.
Okay, no question.
Please, if you have any questions, please ask at any time at all. Please ask.
Okay, so now we're talking about variables and data types Python.
Coding now.
You are still looking for.
Are we coding now?
Oh God.
Are we coding now? Keep back up. We are not coding.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We'll soon code. We'll get that.
Okay, so variables and data types in Python. In the previous notebook, we learned something like integer and floats. Like we have different types of data type in Python. Integers and floats are examples of data types in Python. We have the booleans and we have the strings. Basically, strings are like anything in quotes. I would have said strings are text, but sometimes you can put an integer in quotes and that automatically makes it a string. When you talk about boolean, it is true or false, logic statements, either true or false. So floats are decimal points, like anything that has decimal, even if it's 2.0, as long as that 0.0 is there, it is a float. Then integers, they are whole numbers. Then, okay, if you now to discover, to check the type of a particular object in Python, you can do the type function, then put anything you want inside the brackets. I think we should all try this out on our computer. Then it's giving us int. That means 100 is an integer. If I do type in strings, it's giving us string. That means 100 in quotes is a string. Whatever is inside quotes, as long as it is in quotes, it is a string. Then assigning variables. When you are assigning a variable, it is just like telling Python that, okay, I want you to keep this for me inside this place. It's like me putting money inside purse. You're telling Python, this is purse. I'm putting this amount of money inside. Help me to keep it inside. So if while still working on that node, now later tell Python that same purse, so I want to add extra money, or I want to change the money that is inside, Python cannot go back and give you the former money. Let's rerun that code. What I'm trying to say is, as we've assigned 40 to A now, if we call our A, it is 40. We are checking the type of our A, this code cell 16 rather. Checking the type of our A. Okay. Taking the type of our A, it is giving us integer because what is inside that A, it is integer, it's a number. So now we can add an integer to that A. A plus 3 is giving us 43 because A is 40. It's just like 40 is disguising. That's why it is saved as A. Then we are assigning another variable on this cell 5. B is equals to 5. That means we have our A to be equals to 40 and we have our B to be equals to 5. Like I said in the first notebook, we were taught how to divide using the backslash symbol. So if you are dividing two variables, as long as they are integers, you're not going to run into an error. If you are dividing two if you are dividing two numbers or two object data types, you are definitely going to run into an error.
Someone should try to add two what's it called? Two different data types together. And let's see what you have. Make any mathematical operation on two different data types. Like try to add a string and an integer together, or try to divide a string by an integer. Anything at all. Try it out and let me know. Type error. Wait. Huh? You said something. Did you try it out? Or you do not understand what I just said? Try it out.
Is there anybody that does not understand?
Perform an arithmetic operation on two different data. Let me know what you have. Not really data type. Okay. Try Boolean.
It worked.
Try a Boolean and an integer.
Sorry, it worked. On what?
Wait. Try on it works or said it works. Boolean and what?
Okay.
Yeah, which someone is saying something else. Try a Boolean and an integer. Let me know. This is what I'm saying. Please, this is what I'm saying. This is a Boolean, Abby. If you want to check the type, what will you do? You do type of it, Abby. You can see you have bool, Abby. So this is a Boolean. So now try to add a Boolean together. Sorry. Try to add a Boolean together with an integer. Let me know what you have. It gives an answer. Why? And someone. So what is the value of the Boolean? 2 is 1. How? So great. So you can basically you can perform mathematical operations on Boolean and integer, Booleans and floats. But the problem arises when you try a string and an integer or a string and a float. Say for example, let me convert this to a. If I want to convert this to a string, what will I do? I'll put it in this is it, yes. When I run it, I'll run into a problem. Can you see? Can only concatenate string, not integer to string. What is basically telling you is that Python is telling you that I cannot add a string and an integer together. Any question? Yeah, digesting it. Question. Please, the best way to learn this thing is not by looking, it's by trying it out. It's by trying different things. Please, that's the only way. Please check slide. Yeah. People are saying typing it. Okay, still the same level. Yeah. Questions. Please talk to me. I am here. Please don't side. Please talk to me. Or talk to Modia. Oh yeah, please. Let's continue.
So earlier I was saying about if you tell Python that you should keep this amount of money in a purse for you, and then later you tell it that okay, I don't want that money there again, I want another money. So that's where the assignment comes to play. Earlier we defined our A to be 40. We have 40 to the variable A. So now we have defined it 1,000. If we now do A plus B, which is supposed to give us 40. Our A earlier was 40, and our B earlier too is 5. So now that we are assigned,
breaking the class. You cannot concentrate on it at the same time. I promise you that. It's not rocket science.
now we have reassigned A to be 1,000, and our B still remains 5. If we add 1,000 plus 5, A plus B, we get 1,005 instead of 45. If I go back up and I run the cell of A equals to 4, and I come back down to run the cell of A plus B, I'm going to add 45 because I already told Python that, okay, I don't want that 1000 again. No, it's 40 that I want. That's 45. Assign a variable. Once you assign a variable name to another object, it updates like automatically, and you can't access that previous one except you go back to run that cell. Okay, so assignment with the same variable. Our A is 1000. Yeah. So A equals to A plus A, that is 2000. So now we assigned our A. The first time we assigned it to be 40. The second time we assigned it to be 1000. This is what this is showing us here. A is one. Sorry, I assigned it to be 40. But let me run this code. So A is 1000. So if I do A equals to A plus A, that is, I'm assigning that A plus 1000 is 2000. Then if I now run this code, this A equals to A plus A again, it's going to like update because A is now 2000. So I'm now telling Python that my A that is 2000, I don't want it to be 2000 again. I want it to be 2000 plus 2000. So I'm going to run the same cell again. So you are going to see that it's now 4000. Let me run A. A is now 4000. This cell, this next cell, if I do this A equals to A plus A again, I get like double of 4000. Then Python strings. A string one inside, you would have to use the double quotes to make life easier for you so that Python will not.
Yes. What did you? you did not put the quotation again.
backslash n in the middle so that you can print. So please try that out. Has anybody tried it out? The backslash n. Try it. Use it to print on two different lines in the same string. Give Python one print command and tell it to print two things on two different lines. Is it forward slash? It's forward slash. Sorry, forward slash.
Is it forward? It's backward. Oh, it's backward slash. Please open it. This one is what? Abba. This is forward now. This is forward slash. Yeah, isn't back. What is the challenge? What is the challenge? It is backward and backwards. Tell you that I don't put in new line. See now.
Another thing, if you use the backward slash, if you use the slash without telling Python, like you do not put your what you want it to print and put on two different lines inside the print command, it's just going to return what you gave it back. It's not going to execute any command. So you have to put the print command, like the print and the parentheses. Are we good? Have you AI innovation materials rather.
I've gone to the those cells, click on the app options, click on cell, you see exactly. Sorry, yes. Sorry, yeah, you see it's not cell, it's not cell because or click on it, or you can use the shortcut. Click on escape. Not Apple, you event. Problems. Yes. Are we there yet? This is
Tab like just give space. Like I think 4 spaces.
Did you know? You have to know the parts. You can use this down to we can conclude because I can then the clouds are open. Did you go to that link and finding your so I think that this is the code that I'm working. It's better you download it. Yes. So I hope you have to come from online and look for our code and you will upload it. You go to where it is. Any other code? So can we continue? Can we continue? Please check slide and online. Yes. Please check online whether it's working. No, yes, still here. Yeah, it's working. Yes.
Okay, so can I go ahead?
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah.
So in Python, indentation is very important. Indentation is like giving a couple of spaces before your next line of code so that Python will understand the syntax or the format you're trying to put it down. This might be too much, but we're going to understand as time goes. I just want to explain. Oh, sorry. I also want to explain the function of /t. It gives space 4 spaces, space bar 4 times. Like when you use /t. /n takes us to a new line, but /t gives us space. It prints whatever I want to print with spaces in between. So I'm going to run this highlighted code, this highlighted cell rather, and you see that after the Python code, which is like the first line, that was like the first function, the first thing we told Python to print. Then the second line is print, this is a tab, then the /t, which automatically means put 4 spaces in between. Then notice how this prints with space between. So Python code, this is a tab, then the spaces, these are the spaces here. Then you have notice how this prints with space between. It's just like synonymous to the /n.
Can someone replicate the same thing using just one print? Try to replicate this same output, but use just one print. Oh yeah, I said you wanted to go begin to this game and put it now.
Are you ready?
No. This same output, I want it, but with just one print. One print function. This is 30 seconds. We've done it. We've all done it. So have you gotten an answer? You've been able to upload it.
Give us the same output. If I thought this is our we just write a print function that has first line, second line has tab space, tab space. I give you guys this. Let's start.
So we've all done it, yes. What's the community? Wait. I just come. Is there any space?
One thing about Python is that Python is case sensitive. If a particular function in Python starts with small letter and it starts with capital letter, just run an error. If you assign a variable, say a capital letter A is equal to 35, and you're calling that A, you're calling small letter A. Python is going to tell you that that A that you're is not defined.
No,
you have to be very sure of that.
Please, you have to come here. You have to come here, please. Okay. Is someone still out there? So we've all done it, yes. Who? Yes. No, use only one thing. They are still using two things. Just one quick function. They are using two things. I want
That's why have you done this?
this is the staff now.
That is correct.
This is the staff. No, you need to do the first one. What does the Python code first? There's no line.
What does that mean? I don't need to take just and the what space the new line at the start. Take it inside
Are we all good?
Let's so you can address it before we move forward.
If I'm not good, please let me know. But they have to say like nothing
At all.
No, see now, if you started with double quotes, you ended with single quotes. You have to be consistent. Please, when you are trying to type a string, it's either you use double quote throughout or single quote throughout. You cannot start with single and end with double, or start with double and end with single. It won't work. It will give you an error. We are just coming. Yes. Yes, you see. We have internet. You can still make that. That's the new. Okay, maybe I just come on this thing. So let me see. Or maybe you can raise that. Can I get it? I'm still like 15. We are all good. Answer me now. We let it go. I'm going to penetrate for them.
Now we are going to indexing and slicing, like slicing strings. When I introduced us to strings the last time, I talked about ordered and ordered characters. So ordered in the sense that we can always index it, we can slice it. This is what I was talking about there. So Python has this zero index. If you have a 5-letter word, each letter has an index number. But instead of starting from 1 to 5, it starts from 0 to 4. Just like you can see here, indexing starts at 0. So the string hello is 0 to 4. 0 is assigned to H. 1 is assigned to E. 2 is assigned to the first L. 3 is assigned to the second L. And 4 is assigned to 0. To O rather, sorry. Then you can use square bracket to grab single characters. Like now, the word here is hello. You're telling it to print word. Let me just run the cell alongside. Then we now want Python to give us the first letter of the string hello, of the string word. Yes, of the string hello, sorry. So we tell Python word, that's the name of the string, the variable we assign to the string. Then inside square bracket 0, 0, that's like the index number. So if I run that cell, it's going to give us H. Are we going to try that at our end? Is it so much for us to take in? Or I should continue?
Yeah, you know, you can try. You can try different. You can try what 0, what 1, 2, what 3, and let me.
To make it easier, inside that notebook, you can just be adding new cells and be trying what you want to try inside the notebook rather than switching between two notebooks.
So the word is hello. How many?
5 letter words before.
So that's someone should try word 5 and let me know what. What is that? Index error. Why? Because we have 0 to 4. Great. Python starts counting from 0. And hello is 5-letter word. So the highest you can go is what? 4. Great. So if you try anything more than 4, you get an index error. Let's continue. Another thing, you can count, from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can from the front. You can also count from the back. You start with -1. -1 will be the last. -1 to the back like that.
Then the first letter will always be 0.
And the first letter will always be 0. So let's continue.
So slicing now, we can grab an entire subsection of a string with slice notation. This is how it is done: start, stop, step. In the sense that if you want Python to, like that hello that we had, if you want Python to give us the first 3 letters, we'll do something like square bracket. Okay, I think the name is word. Then square bracket. We want it to start from index 0 and it should stop at index 4. That's like the last letter. I want it to move into, like, you should take 2 steps each. So we have H and L. Our H is like the first letter. Then if it's taking 2 steps, it's coming to L. And after L, that's finished. There's nothing else for it to take. It's not too much for us to take in. Should I repeat myself? I should repeat myself. When you're talking about slicing, you have.
Please listen. See, you cannot. Let me tell you. You cannot get this on my side. I've been here before. You cannot get it by side. The only way you can get it is when you listen to her. Then you try it. If you do not understand, ask her or ask myself. When you make side talks, you are just going to split your what's the English again?
Your attention.
Your attention, yes. So, please explain.
Okay. So the notation for its index slicing is start, stop, step. Where you want it to start from, what index you want it to start from, the index number you want it to stop, and then how many steps it should take. If you do not add the step, like if you do not give it the number of steps to take, it's going to just going to take it like 1. Like this one now, I did 1 to 4. I did not give it number of steps. That means do not jump, just go hierarchically or go like that, something like that.
Another thing. When she did 1 to 4, it will not include 4.
Yes, it will not include the last
It will not
number.
include 4. It will start from 1, but it will not include 4.
For it stop at index 3. So now you know this the string stops at index 4, and when you tried running index 5, it gave an error. But yeah, it's not going to give an error. It's going to give us to the last letter in the word. That's because for indexing, it stops like the last index is like a number before, like the index before. You're just telling me that okay, I want you to stop at the index before this. That's why I'm giving you this number, not this particular number.
Try 1, 1 and 6.
You can try 1 and 6.
Try 1 and 6 and then this is the real
Just stop that.
Oh, from there. Oh my God. It's low. Okay.
Can I go ahead? Have we tried it? No, it will work if it's 1 and to just stop at the last index, like the last letter since it's above. When it is sliding, it will work. It will just stop at the last index. But if it's just you trying to like call that particular index out, like you want it to return a particular letter for you, it's not going to work.
Okay, how many times do you?
Ahead. People from the back, can I go ahead? Go at the back. What's happening? It's not working. Is it affecting now?
I need to open the window.
No, you cannot put it open already now.
Don't put it.
But man, please help me just press Ctrl S so that it saves it at checkpoint if I like need the notebook later. Thank you.
Are we all good? Are we all good?
Okay, so I'll be taking another example, or I can go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question. Wait, before you ask your question, may I have one question? Is space a character?
Why? Or how?
Because that is very good. Nice. Yes, you have a question. Please speak up. Before your question is there. It's not just for me. Yes. Is space there? Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. You started from 1, you start from 0. Count to start from 0. Index in the Python starts from 0. I've told you. Okay, wait. She's asking that why is it not showing error when we did 1
to 6.
1 to 5. When you are indexing in Python, the first one it starts there. Start, stop, step. For the stop, it is +1. Stop is index +1. So if you want to stop at index 3, you are going to do 4. Do you understand? If you want to stop at index 5, you are going to do index 6. The first one it starts there, but the last one it does not end there, it does end +1. Do you understand? Yes. And you can do step 2. I think she explained step 2. Any other thing? Let me check sliding. Any other thing?
You are not enjoying this anonymous thing again.
You are coding now. Question. So we are all good. Can we continue?
Yes.
Yes.
So when slicing, if we want Python to start from a particular place and stop at the end of the character, maybe we do not know where it ends, or we just feel too lazy to type like the last index, we can just do 2. We can just like, if we want it to start from 2 now, come in. This, we used word earlier. Let me use that word again. Word square bracket. We are starting from the first index, like the second index, which goes by index 1, then your colon, then you do not put any. Remember, stop step. You know the step is not compulsory. You can decide that you should take one step, or you can decide to increase the number of steps. But that stop too, you can actually tell Python that I want you to stop at the end of the string. I do not know the last index, or I don't want to type it. I just want you to stop at the end of the string. Just your start, like your start index, where you want it to start from, and then your colon, and then it gives you, like for the words that we assigned LO to, I use index 1. That's starting from E to the end. I didn't tell you where to stop. I just said Python will from E to the end. That's what I want you to do. You can also do the same thing for beginning, like for the start step 2. Word, colon, and then 4. Like you're not putting any index where you're supposed to put the start. It's just there. You're not even leaving space. You're just like your square bracket, the colon, and then where you want it to stop. Like you're saying, oh, Python, I want you to give me the first 4 letters in this word. That's what I'm telling Python now. And it's giving me HELL.
Questions. You have a question?
Can you step backwards?
Like when you're using the step.
Oh, can you? Yes. Use -1. I told you I was obstructing your notes.
Question. Another question. No. So we are all good.
And then we can slice this thing. We can use our indexing for sentences, whereby you tell Python that it gives you, okay, it's not indexing that uses split, like for sentences, to divide it into what? Split that you use.
It's split.
Can I go ahead?
There are so many side talks. I don't like it.
People should talk to me now.
If you're stepping backwards, the start will be the last.
You can tell it by yourself.
It's not working with the first character.
Like when I use the regular form, using -1.
Try it the other way around. It's not even giving you an error.
It's not giving an error. Just
Did you save
want
to
to
a
go
variable?
from 0 to 6?
I should want it otherwise.
I think that's the same.
You can try putting 2 columns instead of
It's working
putting
now.
So your start will be
your.
Questions? Any other thing? Hello. What's the problem? Hello. What's the problem? They are good at it.
Okay, so basic string method. Let me explain. Fill a form. There are sometimes they'll tell us that we should fill in capital letters, but because we have big heads, we use small letters. Then when they want your input out, when they want to sort your data, they'll be like, okay, we know that their users are very mysterious. They'll see A, they'll do B. So now to convert whatever you have into capital letters, use the upper, then parentheses method. It converts everything to capital letter. Does that make any sense? Okay. So basically,
Please, I have a question. That dot up and then now, what are we going to call it in Python? A what? No, it is not a function. It is a method. Great. Let's continue.
then the same thing happens when you use dot lower. It converts everything to lowercase. Then I'm not telling you. I want to keep it to myself. Then we have dot split to split a sentence or to split sentences. Like this cell 7 that's there, but it's under 79. Let me rerun it. Sorry. See now, I did not define the basic. Name basic is not defined. That's because I did not run the line of code that assigns the basic variable to the word I am a beginner. I think now that I did it, it worked. So when you are splitting and you're not telling Python that, okay, oh, this is what you should use to split, it's like just split by space. Like you just split everywhere that there is space, it splits with space. For this highlighted cell, we can see that the split I. It splits everywhere that there is an I. You can see there are still spaces there, but it is splitting where there is small letter I. Even because the capital letter I, hello world I, that I is still there. It's not split at that point. Anywhere that is small letter I, I'm telling Python that, okay, I want to divide this thing with the letter I. You can also use a comma or maybe colon or something to split. That's if your variable has the splitting whatever. So print formatting now.
Are we okay with splitting?
No, I should come again. When you want to split in Python, when you want to split when you want to get back a letter in a word, we use the index, use slicing. But when we want to split a sentence, we want to divide it maybe into 4 parts, into 5 parts. We will tell Python that this sentence will help us divide it. If you're not sure about, maybe if you want to divide it into words, I know that after every word there's a space. You just use the dot split with your parentheses. It's going to split with the word spaces. That's going to be like the split parameter. But if you know that, okay, I want to split at every point that is a comma, maybe you're supposed to use a new line, or maybe, okay, this person wrote a code and she's supposed to use the /tab/t, the /t, and you know that, okay, she might forget, or then you want to split at that point where T is, maybe you know that she might forget the /, maybe because she's a beginner. You want to split at every point that is a T. You just put your T inside these quotation marks in the split method in the bracket. So Python will split at every point that is a T. And note that if you put in small letter T, Python will not help you change it. That small letter T is going to split at every point that is small letter T. Do I need to come again? Are we good? Then print formatting. For when you are dealing with Python codes, there are sometimes that you would have assigned a variable above, just like we assigned our A to be 40. And I know that, okay, I'm going to use A in maybe the next line of code, and I want it it is saved already, and I do not want to be typing 40 every time. That's when we use the dot format. You can use the format method of a string to perform what is formally known as string interpolation, essentially inserting variables when printing a string. Like, okay, I want to print this string. Instead of me to print the content of a particular variable that I've assigned above, what I do is just put in the variable name and it works. So let me explain how that works. See this highlighted cell? We have print, our print function, our string is there. Then we have welcome, curly brackets. Curly bracket is shift your square bracket, curly bracket, and your password is curly bracket too. Then the format method, we now have, after closing the string or the double quote, the format, username, comma, password. Let me tell you how this works. If you want to log into your bank app, let's assume that it asks you for your name and your password. And when you're done logging in, it tells you, welcome, my dear. Your password is so and so. Or maybe you're creating an account. Welcome, my dear. Your password is so and so. Some people are going to use that platform. If they put welcome, my dear, everybody that comes will be getting welcome, my dear. So what they do is put username equals to, they ask you to enter your name. When you enter your name, whatever you saved as your own name variable is what will come out for you. It's what will happen in the function with your print statement rather. So this is how it happens. Welcome, curly bracket, and your password is the format, username, comma, password. Does that make any sense? Please let's try it out. This particular the format took me time to know it, so please let's try it out. Seriously, it used to confuse me a lot. So
Basically, what this format is saying, anywhere your curly bracket is, it will replace it by the variable name.
The content of the variable name.
That's just the gist about it. Username is a variable, password is a variable. Yes, username, what is the value for username? Newbie. What is the value for password? Great. So when you are doing formatting, anywhere there is a curly bracket and it follows, it is ordered. Your first curly bracket will take the first thing you pass. The second curly bracket will take the what? The next thing you pass. So yeah, I'm typing welcome, first curly bracket, and first curly bracket is what? Username. So it is going to give me the username, which is what? Newbie. And your password is another curly bracket, which is what? Your password, another password.
Does that make sense to us? If it doesn't, you can draw me back. You're not even drawing back.
I
Draw
want
my
you
attention.
to try some.
Wait,
Delete.
before they try it, let's treat the unordered one where they.
Okay.
So, as I said earlier, it is ordered. If you are using the curly bracket without putting anything inside, whatever you are putting in your dot format must be the way you want the curly bracket to take it. The first curly bracket for the first variable, the second curly bracket for the second variable, and that goes on. So then the next cell, we can see that action is equal to len to string len. And you know that, okay, earlier we've defined our name and our username and our password. And now we want to print the newbie needs to learn. That is, want to print, okay, the newbie needs to learn. Yes, something like that. Sure. The learn needs to newbie. Let's do that. That's the ordered one. The learn needs to be. We print our print function, the string, then the, then curly brackets. The normal way we do our curly bracket needs to. Then we now assign a letter inside it. It's creating inside the dot format function again. So the first curly bracket takes B, and the second one takes A. So inside the dot format method, we now back to define that our A is equal to and our B is equal to action. So the format doesn't take it accordingly. It doesn't take it orderly again. It takes it according to how we've defined it inside our. It takes it according to how we've defined it inside the format. For example, now if you are not so sure about how we used our dot format, maybe our A to E, maybe we've used A to E. We are not so sure about the arrangement when it comes to like using the format. We just be like, okay, let's put in letters in the dot format. Let's put in letters in the string that we want to print, and then come and define those letters in the dot format. Do we understand?
No. The way he's laughing, I knew that there is a problem.
You can never share it. You're never inside to tell us that I don't understand.
What part do you understand?
The unordered part or the O formatting.
The print format, everything.
From the
Everything.
beginning.
Calm down. Do you know what you understand what the variable is? And you know the different data types.
Yes.
The essence of formatting is that there are times, please, hello. Please, when you cite up, distract completely. Times when you want to print a string, but you want to change the values. Let me one perfect example where we use this string format. Say for example, you run a model. You want to report probably the accuracy of the model. Now you will say print model accuracy is what? You cannot start saying you want to copy and paste. You will even know the value. You don't know the value of the accuracy because what the value you want will be what? A variable. Probably say model accuracy, probably accuracy, which is a variable of the accuracy you have. So now you want to put that variable in a string. You want to print it out. Look at this case. We have two variables. Please go up. We have two variables. The first is what? Username with the value newbie, which is a string. And the other one is what? Password, an integer. So now I want to put both the username and password. I want to print it out in string format, say sentence format. My username is this and my password is that. The first thing you do, type welcome. Now, when you put the first curly bracket, you are telling Python this curly bracket, this is where I want to put my first words.
Your first variable.
Great. And password is what you put. There's another word curly bracket. That what you want to put your what second word. So immediately you type this, Python is expecting how many variables? Great. So those two variables, put it in your format. That's all. But it is ordered. The first one for your first bracket, the second one for your what? Second curly bracket. And this is what you have. Welcome newbie, and your password is this. Capish? But if you do not want it ordered, if you do not you want it anyhow you like, what you do is put you can put anything you like. You can put X, Y, Z, but it's prefer to put letters so you can easily understand. Here now we have the what the newbie needs. Now this is the first curly bracket, yes, and we are telling this one that this is our first what variable, and we are putting what inside it, A. Now we'll use that A. Now we are putting what here now, B. So if we want A first, we'll just say A is what, username. You can change it. You can say A equals to what, action. In fact, you can change it. You can use the same thing twice. Do you understand? Now this one is what, unordered, because you can change it anyhow you like. But make sure that if you pass two curly brackets, you are passing two what, two variables. If you pass two curly brackets one variable, you will get an error. Please try it.
And that doesn't have to be a letter. It can be anything that
Most
is
likely, but try
inside.
it.
Any letters. I mean, set of
Please
letters.
wait. Remove one of the variables and try it. With two curly brackets, I expect it to give you an error. Does it work? It works. Let me see. Wait. No. See, you move in the format. You know you have, see, this is what I'm saying. Please, in the format, please go up. And now this is what I'm saying now. Please, this is what I'm saying. See, we have two curly brackets, A and B. But we only pass what? A, please remove action. We pass just A. We pass how many variables here? One in our format. But Python is looking for what? How many variables? Two. You can see it gives you an error, key error B. Because Python is saying that what is this B? Do you understand? Someone has a question. Yes.
Please go ahead.
I wanted to ask, so you don't have to assign a value to the A and B.
No. See, you've assigned it already in your format now. Originally,
be assigned.
no. Originally, no. You don't need to.
Even if it is not for the A and B, if it's just a normal one that we're using that is ordered, if you put in just one, it's going to throw an error. Like you said, index error, tuple index out of range.
Exactly. See, even without the other one to exact, it is expecting two variables.
But
you are giving it one. If you raise an error, because it is expecting to know one. Any question? Please check. Check.
Sorry.
Screen is still working. There's no question.
About changing to uppercase and lowercase. How about sentence case? The title should do that. Choose the title. Try the title. Should work. It should.
What
work.
is it? Let's try it.
The title to start with. Sentence case is like start with capital letter now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, try the title.
That's using title method on the screen.
Okay, it's actually our action is equals to learn. Then action dot title. I'm telling it I want the first letter of action of the variable action of the content of the variable action to be in capital letter. So it is returning L in capital letter to us. So we have our learn with our L in capital letter.
It's just like the exam. I hope that question has been answered. Go. I think it's like it's trying to slide down.
And that's all.
That's
Showing
all.
the test
Okay.
question.
Okay. So can we continue? Can we continue?
Yes.
You are saying something?
Yes. You need help. Please help me.
Okay. Then formatting does not only work for strings, it also works for numbers. It also works for numbers. Like we can see this cell 90 that has our number to be a float, and the number, the variable num is equals to It's not equals to, it's assigned to 245.9083. That is the name of the variable. In cases whereby waiting for maybe Python to perform a calculation, just like we was talking about accuracy score earlier, like now we might be waiting for Python to perform a particular calculation, maybe x times y, and inside that same cell, we want to print our answer. So what we just do is, are you with me? No. So you can also use the formatting method with numbers, with integers or floats. It doesn't have to be with strings alone. So what I was saying earlier is that if you want to tell Python to do 6 times 7 for you, that's supposed to give you 42. 6 times 7 for you. And you're now saying, okay, 6 times 7 is 42. To run it inside that same cell, you want to do 6 times 7. I just want to tell Python to print the answer is 6 times, the answer is 42. You can use like the dot format method. All you just do is assign your 6 times 7 to a variable. You can do x is equal to 6 times 7. Just like number is, let me create a new cell for me. X is equals to 6 times 7. And then below we do print what I was telling Python to do here is, okay, first line, multiply 6 times 7 for me. Then when you do that multiplication for me, save it into x. I'm going to need the value of x later. So what I now told Python in that same cell is that when you saved it into x, I want you to tell me that the answer is this. And then because it has not performed the calculation before I ran the code, I could not tell Python that, okay, the answer is 42. I do not know what 6 times 7 is. So I now used our dot format method. I kept our curly bracket inside the string, inside the quotation mark, inside double quotation. Then we have the format, the x that we defined to be 6 times 7. Do we get? Okay, please, can we try it out? If you're having any issues, you can call my attention. My book of water. Did you understand this table? Did you understand what I explained? Okay, I'm listening. What's your question?
The question is for everybody.
No,
it has to be.
Okay, I'm listening.
Cannot see it. Yeah. We need to count them. You have to know this. Please don't go with no, no, your thoughts. It is a method that so I guess we are all good. Please, you have to practice this thing. You have to practice. Not if you leave and I get to just close down. Okay. You won't understand it. I can promise you that. You can only know by practicing it. We are all good, yes. Someone is saying no. What is it?
If we want to handling where you go, that number, see, it is look at it and it's telling you to be like yourself. So if you know by you know assign, you can probably yourself somewhere. Because
Is there any other person that is having any issue
the
or
number you can see now is
any problem?
One of the reasons I like Python is that to an extent it is easy to debug to an extent. There are some elements in there that when you can read and understand that to an extent, no, it's not all bugs. But let's continue. It seems we looked at. Don't worry, after this. Yes, let's continue. One house, please. So,
If we are dealing with decimals, we can tell Python that the number that you are going to return for us, I mean the number you are going to return to us, we want it to be in so and so decimal places. If I'm giving Python a number, or Python is supposed to return a number that is in 7 decimal places to me, and I feel like I want to round it up to like 6 decimals or to like 1 decimal place, I can tell Python to do that for me. So basically, inside our curly brackets, all we do is our colon. We put colon there, the colon. Then we now specify if it's 1 decimal dot 1.1f. If it is 2 decimal places, 0.2f. If it is 3.3f. So let's try that with the notebooks with us. The one that we have to run that code that says NUM equals to 245.9083, or else when you are trying to try out the decimal places, you're going to get an error. Does that make any sense to us? I heard somebody say no. Please, who are you? Let me come and attend to you.
You have a question.
yes.
What is the question?
Why is it 1F?
For 1 decimal. For
That's what you want
yes,
to play.
yes,
They
the
are
one.
listening to her.
The F has to be for formatting and not formatting.
Yes,
Okay, but
Not number of float.
float. Yes, float decimal point.
Questions, please check slides.
This anonymous thing is not working for them again. They're already coding.
Please check the stream.
Okay. How do you know if people from there have questions?
I wouldn't know. Probably they should ask on slide.
If
The
you
guy is screaming, please. If you have questions, ask on slide.
Okay. Can I go ahead? Have you tried that? Have you run the cells?
Question, problem. Are we all good?
yes.
Are we only one person is answering me? Are we all good?
Yes.
I need more answers. Are we all good?
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
it's not your
please.
hand. What's your question? Wait.
I didn't get your question.
What's
Sorry.
the question? You understand? Wait. Please listen.
You're going to Booleans
After Billions, then please.
for this variable, for this notebook.
Billions.
This notebook, the rest are just like something that we can just mark.
Looks like it. You're going to Python 2 artists.
That's like the immediate thing on the AI invitation material.
Materials. Python is not there.
Yes. Yeah, I said
Is there?
average, NumPy, pandas.
You don't have Python.
And still Python now. But more than you have to like trace down so if you can try to split it into the what time to look.
Doing the breakdown with the many models out of imagine. Yeah, that's something.
Okay. So booleans, like we said earlier, booleans are like logical statements. They take true or false of the laptop. It's okay. Oh my God, okay, so booleans are like logical statements. They take true or false. The numerical value for true is 1. That's why we can do 2 plus 1 to give us 2. And the numerical value for false is 0. That's why we can do false plus 1 to give us 0, or false plus 4 to give us 4. Does that make any sense to us?
I've explained this on there.
Yes, so I'll just keep it. So, so when we are using Boolean, I just like to confirm something. Shall let me just explain how we use Booleans for comparison. Our comparison operators are true, false, no, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, then equal to. The major difference here is that in Python, equals to is not equals to. Equals to is assigned to. But when you're talking about equals to, use equals to twice. That means you're telling Python that what is on the left side is supposed to be equals to what is on the right side. If it is not equal to it, it's going to return false. But if it is equal to it, it's going to return true. And if you're not asking to return false, or maybe you're asking to like maybe count it, it's going to return the number of rows that have that thing that way. I'm going too fast.
Please, let's try out something.
Okay.
Let's try.
You can do maybe 24 greater than 27 to see if it will give you. Okay, I should. So 24 is less than or equal to 26. Well, let's do 29. And it's giving us true. And 24 is actually like less than 26. If we do something like 34 is less than 7, it's going to return false. It's not possible. 34 is not less than 7. Then
Use one equal to sign.
yes, I'm trying to like show them
Yes,
that.
look at this. That's why I told you I like Python. She did 12 equals to 6.
12 assigned to 6.
And Python is telling her that can't assign to the Can you assign a number to the
Yes, and your variable name cannot be a number. It has to be in text. It can contain numbers, but it has to be in text. It cannot have space in between two. And that's why I was talking about not using space while creating your Jupyter notebook title yesterday, so you get used to the format. So if we do 12 is equals to 6, it's supposed to return false. 12 is not equals to 6. And then not equals to, that's true. That's this our iPhone. Is it iPhone? Exclamation mark. Yes, exclamation mark. 12 is not equals to 6. It's telling us true that yes, 12 is not equals to 6. So that's how you do not equals to. Equals to is assigned to, like that equals to sign twice. Less than to our normal less than. Greater than our normal greater than. Then if you are doing less than or equal to, it's just going to be your less than and your assigned to sign.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, yes. And then there's a last type, non-type.
Non-type.
You would actually you will come across it a lot. There's another type called non. That is it, just capital N and non. That's what she did. Is there another type? Exercise. The programs are checks for us.
Palindrome. I think the notebook has been extracted. I do not.
I've been gone enough to that. Maybe to this.
What's palindrome to start with?
It's not numbers that when you go forward and when you go back at the same time.
Oh.
I think so. So I think that's all about combination.
Yes, we've gone through all these ones, but these ones are strings. And then, okay, this is just string concatenation, concatenating.
Yeah, you can
string.
add two strings together.
So instead of like using the dot format that we used earlier to tell Python that welcome so and so person, your password is this, we could have done welcome in quotes plus we should write the username, then plus in another quote. The plus is not inside quote. After the plus, you open another
This is
quote.
what you're saying.
Then you say, I should type it out because of the color.
Oh, okay, you guys cannot see this thing at all.
They can't see it clearly.
At all.
Okay, they can't even see it at all. So that's what I'm trying to like explain.
Okay. So we can, what she says is that, like we add numbers, we can add strings together. So what she's trying to tell is that now type means we are in class
We are in class.
plus today is a Tuesday and let's see what you have. They are in strings, so please. Means we are in class a string plus in the same bracket of the string. And today is a Tuesday and let's see what you have. We are sorry about the projector. So it's not bad. Wow. What do you have? So it's yes, not together. It's concatenate, yes. So great.
Okay, so another thing you can do with concatenation is that if you have a variable that you've assigned maybe something to a variable earlier and you want to use it in your string, in what you want to print, all you just do is that you make sure that that variable name is not in quotation mark. Because once it is in quotation marks, you're telling Python that you're printing what exactly is in this quotation mark. So you can try that to maybe assign something to something. Then another way to, can I go ahead? Another way to skip your, when you use your, wait, this our, what they call this, apostrophe. I'm using apostrophe.
What's that?
This our string, this our single string.
Yes, single one.
Single quotation.
Quotation.
I did English.
You said that.
No, like if you want to skip it, before we said they will use like double quotes to skip it, but now they can use for backslash to skip it, like where the apostrophe is.
Now we want to force the apostrophe.
Yes, if you want to force the apostrophe with single quote.
Okay.
That's okay. Go ahead.
You
No, go ahead.
what he's saying is, if you can remember, we tried typing the string that has that we shortened I am to I apostrophe M. What we did was that to pass it we used double quotation. You could also use single quotation, but when you are for the single quotation of the am, you can force it. And how do you force it? You use a backslash. Do you understand? I wish you can see this today.
You can write it on the bottom.
Oh wow. Can you see the body? Can you see the body? This is what I'm saying. Before we wrote let's say Prince Magnet. A microphone Google. This is what we did before. Because we wanted to use this single apostrophe. We said we have to make it work double so it will work. If you use single, it will return an error. You can try it. It will return an error. So now you could also use single, and this one here you can force it. How do you force it? Before the single quote, you use backward slash, then you type the single quote and do you understand? So what this thing is just doing, like it is forcing this single quote into this thing. So is there another thing? I think we can go for a break.
Okay, wait. Before we go for a break, let's just complete this notebook. I don't have something to say here. It's just like 3 different things. When you are dealing with slicing that we talked about in strings, there's a way you can reverse it. If you are reversing it, if you are reversing it with the start-stop step, you are going to reverse the start and stop. You are going to like change the start to the stop index. and the stop to the start. But if you want to reverse the whole string, like you just do your 2 columns, like the first column, the first step is supposed to be the start step, but you omit that start step, you do not put anything there, just your colon. Then the stop step, you omit that stop, that number for that stop too. You just put another colon. So that's 2 colons, and then you put -1. So that means you're telling that I want you to give me this string back from the other way around, like in reverse form, from the last letter to the first letter. If that makes sense, we can like try it. Does that make sense to us? Then, can I continue? You want to try it?
Feedback.
Example. Can you see this thing? I should do example here.
Problem that this projector is not so clear.
So we have a variable here, ARFT, that contains I am a Pythonista, a data scientist, and my gene is AI. That's the string there. And then we now want Python to give us that string the other way around. So we're going to run the next cell, the highlighted cell, where we have ARFT, our square bracket, then the double colon I talked about. We are skipping the start and the stop step, but we have the double columns. We have the column for the start and the column for the stop. Then the number of steps we want Python to take is -1. We are using that -1 to tell Python that, okay, we are going one by one, but you start from the back. So that's what happens. Does that make sense? We can try that out in our notebook. Then, as I said earlier, I said that when we are doing division, we get back a float. If you are dividing 2 integers, you get a float back. So if there's something called modulus. Modulus returns the remainder. Like if I'm dividing 5 divided by 2, we use percentage on laptop, on your keyboard is percentage. We use the percentage sign, or 5% 2, it gives us 1. That means we're telling Python, keep whatever the answer is, you don't need. I just want to know what my remainder is. That's what that is. Then if you are using / twice for your division sign, which is /. / is different from what we use to create a new line and to create spaces. If we're using /, we use it twice to tell Python that I want an integer back. Don't give me a float. I don't care about what the remainder is. Just give me integer, the whole number. So that's what that is. You can try that on your laptop too. Thanks.
Questions? Please check slide.
I think we're not doing this most.
Someone just type it. Someone just type it. What is it?
Oh, okay.
Does
Control plus Z work in Python. That's undo now. Yes, it does. If you like that time that I was changing in the Jupyter notebook, that time that I was removing action so that we can explain the format string. What I did was just I cleaned it, I highlighted the action, I cleaned it. Then when I wanted to put it back, I used my Control Z and it returned it for me. So it works.
undo works, you do works to wipe.
Copy, paste works, cut, it works.
But please know what you are copying and pasting.
But for me, I have a clipboard on my laptop, so I'll just do my Windows C and I'll like see all I've copied and just pick what I want to paste down to make life easy.
So any question? Questions. So we'll take 20 minutes break. We'll be conversion.
Okay.
Thank you. There's a question on this thing. What is colon added question for an align addenda?
Colon added question for an align addenda.
Someone is asking comments for.
What are comments for? That was it.
Why is colon added? Colon added where?
Okay, yeah. Why is colon added? Oh, I think it's in the when we were talking about the start stop step.
It's better to ask your question. It's better you ask your questions on slide though. The guys online, please. You can easily track it that way.
Yes, we'll see it easily. I think we should put share the slide with students so they'll see how.
So it's
So it's better you ask your questions on Slido with this code.
Oh, okay.
We are. I think I have muted it.
Mhm.
I'm surprised. It's on. It's unmuted. Increase volume.
Okay. Wait, how did you do that? Okay, fine.
What is that?
So, I think you reduced the volume one time.
No. Why?
My voice
You meant
inside square brackets, elements inside square brackets. You can have a list that in the notebook that is with us, you can see the cell 318. My list is equal to 123 inside square bracket. The reason one, so basically we are telling Python that okay, I want this is like the type of data that I want to keep inside this by creating a list. So if you create a list and you say my list is equal to 123 in square brackets, you can call my list at any point in time inside your notebook, as long as that your where you assigned and where you created the list 123 as my list, you ran that cell already. It's not like the cell is not run yet. So I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Am I making any sense? Two different types of two different items. For cell one, we have my list two, then it's equal to ABC, comma A contain two different data types or more than two sets. A list can contain different data types. So in this list, we have integers and we have a string. When the list was created originally, it contained just integers. But okay, I remember that I needed to add like some letters, and then I appended it. The pop method, what is used to do is that to pop out the last element of a string. If I do dot I'm still having trouble connecting. Internet connection is not. I'm having trouble. You got meeting. I think he has gone back to Sudan. Sorry. Okay, that started. Okay, so you were saying the reverse. You, you are telling Python that this list to me in an ascending order. I want you to give it back to me in a descending order. That's when you use reverse equals to true inside your dot sort function.
Okay, please listen. This is what what we want to achieve here is we just want you to get a better understanding of nested list. Because when you start doing numpys, you can, in fact, you can have 50 lists in a list. One of the lists can be a sub list. One of the lists too can be a sub like that. It is, don't allow it scare you. The first thing when you see a list, what you need to do first is you need to know the length of your list. How many elements do I have in the list? So this is a list one here, defined right here. Let me run it. So let me check the length of my list. I'm going to do length, what list what? 1, Abby? And is what 4. Now, this is the first element here. The first element is 2. The second element is 3. The third one is what? This string here, FOUR. And the fourth element is this string. Is this list rather? Do you understand? But this last element on its own is a nested list too. So we have a nested list in a list. Do you get the gist? Let me bring out only that list. So what is the index of that one now? I'm interested in only the last list. What would I type to get it out? 3, Abby. I'll index it with what? 3, Abby. I have it. Do you understand? Get. Now this one too. I can still what? Get. You know this now is a what? This on its own is a list of lists. So we have like how many lists now? 1, 2, and 3. But everything is in this bigger list 1. Do you understand? So what we are trying to achieve here is this. Or let me take it step by step. So now we are cool with indexing with 3 to get the last one. So now I want to get the list inside this list too. You can, if you want to make your life easier, although it's not always necessary, you can give this list too as a variable. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I can define this. I can call it probably sub list. You understand? Then I can call the sub list, but it's not necessary. In fact, I feel I should not even do that self. You understand what I did? Questions? You are smiling already. Questions? When you start smiling, that means you don't understand it. Question? Question? Or I should use marker? I should carry on, Abby. If I don't want to use variable names because it is not necessary. I do not need it, so I'll take it out. Yes. Please, Usman, no sir. Yes.
In this list, so that let's make it easy for some of us. But I know it's still.
It's still what in this list. Can we what?
Wait, please. It is very important to understand this thing. Because when you go to NumPy arrays, please wait. When we go to NumPy arrays now, you know this list we've been doing, they are just 8 lines. When you go to NumPy arrays, you see the monk. You see list of this. So it's better you understand this one now. So you understand index better because let me be honest. If you cannot index NumPy list, there's nothing you can do. If you cannot index NumPy list, there's nothing you can do when you is end up. But it is when you index a NumPy list that I want this feature out. I don't want this one. I want this one. I don't want this one. So you really know how to index. Yeah, you wanted to stop. Don't stop. Sit down.
What I'm saying is this. Can we begin to name the position so that it will be easy for us to distinguish the list in the list?
I really hope you guys can see. So this is my list here. 2, 3, is string 4 Abby. What? A new list, Abby. 20, 30, 40.
What's yes?
On another list.
Another list of it. What is the
String one. String.
then 1, 2, 3. Please, your bracket must be complete too. If it is not, error. I'm very certain of it. What is the name? My list of it.
List one as for one.
Abi?
Yeah.
So what is the length of this list?
4.
4. Abi? This 2 is index 1. This is index 0 rather. 1. Abi? 2. Then everything like this is what? 3. Are we okay up to this point? I want to bring this thing out. I will index this with what? 3. I will call list 1. And I'll index it with what? 3. Abi?
Yes.
So if I do this, it will give me 20, 30, 40, then 1, 2, 3, and 3. I've closed it. Abi? So what is the length of this one now? 4. Great, you guys have closed it. No, is it for 1? Yes. It's not 3. You can't see. It's 3. What's the weight now? Calm down. It's not fighting. You're not fighting. What is the length of this list? 4. Great. This is index what? 0. This is index 1. This is index 2. And everything here is what? Index 3. Now, if I want to get just this one here now, I've indexed it first with what? 3. What is the index of this one? 3. So I'm going to index again. So I have list 1, 3 to get this one. Then now I'll index what again now? 3 to get this one. 1, 2, and so what is the length of this list? 0, 1, 2. Yes? Do you understand?
Yes.
So if I want anything from here, in the notebook, what we wanted to achieve was to find these 2. So if I want to do these 2, what will I use? 1 and what? Colon. Great. So list 1, 3, 3, and what? 1 colon. And this will give me what? 2 and 3. Are we good? Let's check if we are good. I will give you a call later and I'll tell you to, and I'll tell you to find out it, to get out the list, to get out that element. So what can you see? Should I write or I should type? What I want to do now is that I want to give you another nested list. Then I'll tell you the character I want from the nested list. I want you to give it out. Give me. So should I type or write? I should write. So I can take this one off. Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you now. Big back. That's a good idea. Okay. Please, that reminds me. I just remember something. Please, when you are using variable names, it's best not to use names that Python is using already. Do you understand? Like you cannot have a variable name and name it int or false. Do you understand?
It might work, but when you are working with it, you definitely face troubles. Very sure.
So you cannot use Python.
Yeah, inbuilt functions. What is after?
No, it's a lot.
My brackets complete. I've closed the mail. I've closed it. Yeah. What is the right? Please thank you. Just come out with Q. I index slice this list and give me Q. It's quite easy actually.
Can you see the board? Ah. Ah. Oh boy. People online self cannot even see it. Yeah. You have? You have a better I cannot rewrite now. You do not like me. Bro, you don't like me.
When I was there, you don't tell me you have better marker. I'm cut on you say you have better marker.
Don't worry if you cannot see that whole type.
Well, this thing is simple now. Someone that have typed this should. I never type it completely. Anyone. Or you don't even need to type them. Is it better if you go out at the back? Okay. Thank God I don't need to type. You necessarily don't need to type.
You have to type now. People online go.
Okay.
See, let me tell you. You don't need to write all the list. You don't need to type all the list. It will take time. What you need to know is see the gist is this. Know the length of the list. Know the ones the one you are concerned with. See, this one does not concern you. Why am I going to be exclusive?
Sometimes I
This thing does not concern you, just to scare you. This is the only thing. In fact, I'm not saying it again. Solve it.
But you don't know. You don't need to type the whole list. Actually, you don't need to type the whole list.
You have a question? Please ask. I can't hear what you're saying. You solved it, yes?
Yes.
Hold on to it.
Yes.
You have a question.
Hold on. Thank
You have answer. Hold on
all
to
the
it.
people that don't read.
What did you say? Q. In fact, sorry, you have to type that list, because you have to run it and show me now. That bracket, I'm not sure they are complete. Okay. It's complete, Abi.
Yes. And it is not. It's said, just give you like a red. One of them has red. Anyway, it's alright.
So we have fast typers in this. I've not even gotten to anywhere. So. Okay, to make it more beautiful.
Just like it to R, put them inside, put one by one. Then after
I was
put
making
it
a
back
mistake.
in.
Yeah, I don't. Hold on to it.
Actually, the scale will have.
After getting Q, get O and P2 in a list.
Yes.
After getting Q, get O and P2 in a list.
Go and P.
So 2 questions.
When
I should copy from slide.
they've done the question, they've done the typed version for you. Of slide.
Oh, good. Thank you. I don't need to again now.
For the people online,
So people online will see it on Slido. No, I say to myself unnecessary.
you run it.
It's work smart, not hard.
I know that I have anything of business.
I didn't even install it. We should be done at in the simple. So after this, we'll do not by.
Yes. People marry that too.
Something
Then we'll come and discuss questions. People marry that too. Then we'll come and discuss questions for you. So no problem.
Please,
Are you fine? I thought you were going to say.
On the material, they want we've not done sampling. Sampling statistics, please give. I will discuss it tomorrow. I forgot it.
We'll come with questions tomorrow, basically. So read and come and answer.
God will, I will send the slide with you.
Like 20 and 7 seconds. That 2 seconds was too much that day. So
How is it on the
yeah, like 7 seconds. So if you don't read, you cannot see.
The answer is not better. I don't like typing because I actually don't like typing. Are we okay?
Can we move forward?
Oh yeah, now let me see. Go out, stop this. Just know that from your output, I will know whether you're right.
So your first
Just get Q and get O and B.
Q index is correct. Correct. That's correct. I'm just going to say. No. I like to do this apple. Oh, I'm going to it's fun. It's spending the money. It's fun.
We have one correct answer. Here I can see how many we have about 30, how many here?
Wait, if you
I
ask
need
me,
to know the amount of people here. But yesterday you wrote
attendance.
attendance, apart from one you signed outside.
You
People
will
that
have
is
to
not today they should guide, so I will know the exact number. I need to detail before. What of one in? You don't think get me one.
O and P is not hard. You've gotten Q to get O and P.
Okay, can we just screen the and please, did you remember the government books for the people online? Feel attendance. Who is the person? She will be please help me just remind her. Yes, you said you just get name and email of people online for the attendance. Anybody else? You need to move forward.
If you have an issue, please let me know. I don't think I'm ready because we're waiting for this traditional. We're waiting for my house.
Your distance are not your square brackets are not complete. That's like the way you interpreted the about passing. Your square brackets are not complete. Go to a square bracket. Anyone that is red, there is a problem there. It has to be green also. When it's green, to show you the one that opened up. Is it green or blue? I don't
It's
know.
good, I'm not joking.
Is it green or blue? Yo, I shall know red is danger. Wait.
Come on.
If you get ETF for passing, your square brackets are not complete. You lose out on square brackets. O and P in O and P in this. You don't need to start adding again. You will slide such that your output is O and P in this.
By the time you this is video that you won't be after you.
How many people are
That person that you are behind, what's his name? Oh, this person, you are not finished.
I know many more.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
But I know that you're closing your laptop one time, maybe you're doing.
Yes, now you can. Yeah, sure. You can tell me how you do. You can start from the back. If God is giving you what, you can start from the back.
Yeah, I need that.
If you prefer using negative numbers, you can start from the back. I think I've seen about 6. That's it, I think. Copy the
Have you gotten it?
You've gotten it. Let me see. A lot of people are working this about this.
Let's go to
Everyone, who will take company?
conference.
Yeah, please take pictures. Let us know Nigeria. Please. Or take pictures and send it to me on WhatsApp. It's better that way. Besides, you be why you to have phones. I prefer someone to take pictures and send it to me on WhatsApp. The sizes will be smaller that way. You get what I'm saying? Oh no, I can send it to you. Send it back. 29 online, Abi. Yeah, 29 here. How come? Oh, wait, 36 yesterday at this place. I most likely. No, what I'm saying is that. But they were seated. That's what I'm saying. That they are here yesterday, so they will take more people compared to today. How come? So we are 29 here. Thank you.
Yes. And okay. So can we continue? My dear, please help me switch off the lights. Thank you.
Pictures are not so clear. They are a bit low. Or light and go.
Chez mon show.
Eh?
Chez mon show.
Just like that. We are drinking water. Yeah.
It works. Thank you. I've not gotten it. I do not know what we'll be saying this morning. Signify.
I need further explanation. Let us know. Come on.
What happened? You got it that. Well, you are copying it. Eh? You still copying. That's serious. Do you have the materials you are using? Go to this site. You will see the materials are there. Can you see? Okay, okay, thank you. I think we are good. Wow, 150. Please, we need to continue. Sorry. Hello. Hope everyone here signed the attendance outside. Yes. Did you sign the attendance when you come? Did you? Have you signed for today? Okay. Thank you. So go to the PDF you have. Hello. We have to move ahead, please. This is 1:14 already. Go to the PDF you have, day 2. We are going into NumPy now. So okay. So please do one house. So thank you. So we've done this one. We've set up our installation. We've done this. So libraries, NumPy, pandas, and matplotlib. I explained earlier. NumPy is used to handle matrices. Pandas to handle data. Matplot library is to plot for plotting. We'll get into that. For now we'll do NumPy. NumPy, fundamental package for scientific computing for manipulation of multidimensional arrays and matrices. It is particularly used for linear algebra. Matrices are a rectangular array of numbers, which we know. Symbols and expressions arranged in what? Rows and columns. many rows do I have? How many columns do I have? 2 rows. I mean 3 columns. So it's row by column. It's row by column. So I have 2 rows and then 3 columns. I want to try something. Okay. Who is this? Sorry, I need to take this call. Hello? Good afternoon. Yes, please. Yes. Please call me back. I'm busy. Thank you. Questions. 136. Wow. Any question? Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? Or should we? It seems you guys are tired. What's the problem? Who is having errors? What's the problem? Hmm? What is it?
I said it's already something.
It's solving it. Okay. You're having errors. What's the error? It looks like I'm overloading you guys with too many, or we are overloading you with too many things. But you are the one that said we did not code yesterday. We are coding now. You know, I don't know. You look overwhelmed. Okay, let's do it like this. From what we've done today, I think I'm probably have done. I'm not getting what I want. From what we've done today, if you have any question or anything, please ask now. Or should we try to solve a problem with Python? The question I'm taking up now will be for us. Let's do it. Questions. Yes. What did you say? Yes. And now, because what we are doing now is 2D array. I mean, what we did before was 1 dimensional. Okay, don't see. Let me tell you. Don't be like me and get confused. That which one comes first? Go up. It is no column. But for 1D, it will just give you the column. Yes, since you know we have those 1 row. Do you understand? Questions? Yes, indeed. No. It's a very I don't know what the type looks like. But check. Does this has the type? I doubt it. But check. I always an account that is typical. Yes.
How do we determine the number of square brackets that should be in front of the MP.array? In this example, we used to
in front and at the back. This one.
The one on the slide now.
Yes. There is 2 square brackets before we start each row.
Okay.
For the example we did, we use just one.
It depends on what you want to do. It depends on the amount of arrays you want to choose. Do you understand? Bracket, the essence of bracket is to track what you are doing. What you just need to do, make sure is that every bracket is closed. For every open bracket, there is a corresponding one that will close it. That's all. You don't need to start counting brackets. In fact, in your editor, you will know now when you go to a bracket, if it is okay, if you color it and no green, I don't know. If it is not okay, you color it red. That's how you will know. Do you understand? It's not by you don't need to start saying 1, 2, 3. Just follow what you are typing. Follow what, because if you don't follow, when you want to give an error, certainly because there is a bracket that is not closed, so to give an error. Do you understand? And this example here, what the shape we are trying to make, I don't know. Probably I should go down. Okay, we are doing 3 by 3 by 3. This is this thing now. This is 2 is an array now, but this is 3-dimensional. You can try it out if you want to. Probably let's type it. This is 3-dimensional. You know we've done 1D, we've done 2D. Some of you are already asking me about deep learning. If you plan to go to deep learning, this is what you are going to be working with most 3D arrays. I call it tensors. That's what you are going to work with. But for now, let's don't disturb ourselves. Because most likely you won't need it for everything. You have the PDF now. You have the PDF. You can check it. Let's don't disturb ourselves with 3D arrays. But it works the same way actually. It works the same way. You can just copy this thing and paste. Can I?
I want to see it.
You want to? Yes. No, I did not run it. This is a PDF. Oh. This is not in my Jupyter notebook. Oh. This is a PDF. This is the PDF you have. You have this PDF. I've sent it to you guys. It is a PDF you have. Questions? I did not plan to go for that. Because
This is the end of no final.
no, there's still reshape mp.zeros.
The area. How is not complex now?
Someone is already shaking his head that there is information overload already. I did not plan to add.
It's not happening.
But we have by their faces. Yeah.
People just trying to go through it at home so that I'm continuing from here tomorrow.
So questions, and let me check slide though. Some people prepare anonymous.
Anonymous no.
Let me see. Is length function length? Yes. Yes. It gives you the length. It is a function, it is not a method. Length is a function. No, method is after. Method is dot.
Yeah.
It's a function. Length is a function.
Do you have any questions?
I actually have a quiz, but we've not covered everything in that quiz, so probably we'll do that tomorrow. So any other question? We've not done any email at all.
At all. I don't like this.
Wow. Probably tomorrow we should do ETA. I think ETA is the one for the second part of this.
No.
Do you guys have the schedule?
Yeah.
You just call me now. Hello? Yes, I'm busy, please. I cannot talk to you now, please. Thank you. Please. I I think I sent the schedule to you guys too now. It's not what I'm looking for. So if the person that types something with no code, hope we've written enough codes today. It's something now. Did I put this?
Please check your date after pandas. What is it? Check the PDF after number it will be pandas. After pandas, what is it? No, day 2. Don't go to the thing again. After pandas, match.library. Data processing after match.library. We'll go into that. Then what? To get change for me. But I'll need to expand it. I hope you'll be listening because the place is fast. I'm going to stay in the okay, what do you need to? Okay. Thank you. He said after pandas, match not like the but the problem is that in pandas there are loops there. There are loops in pandas. If there are no loops, there will be dictionaries there. There's dictionary in pandas. So tomorrow, God willing, we will complete numbers. They're about just 2-3 months. Then we will do dictionaries and books and pandas together. Let's see how that goes in many sessions. How far will go in many sessions? So questions. Questions, problems, suggestions. That reminds me, sir. I need to know the problem.
So I guess we're all good now. Can someone recap for me? Or let's do it like this. I need about 2 people to just tell me what have I achieved, personally what you've achieved today concerning this class we are running. If you cannot talk, you can type on Slido. But I prefer at least 2 people to talk. So I'll know at least I'm not just standing here. Yes. Oh, yeah. Don't recap. I want personal feedback per se. Personally on your own end, what have you learned here? Like when you walked in this morning, now that you still walk out by 2 o'clock, what has changed as in for you, knowledge wise? Oh yeah, now. Yeah, thinking again. So you've not learned anything at all. And what are the things you learned?
Arrays,
This internet is quite bad. How to handle arrays and lists. That's all.
I thought about strings. Did not learn about strings. Only arrays and
You want to hear now?
like
I'm coming. Yeah.
Personally, I think I learned from I've done this.
You've not.
I've done the
Yes.
I learned something. I've not
What new things?
from the statements that's backslash n backslash.
Okay, moving to a new line.
Yeah,
You are not familiar with it before. Okay.
That was
Okay. Good.
type. I didn't know there is type for sentence case. I don't know.
Thank you for what?
Sentence case.
For sentence case. Okay. So, do you know when to use this thing you've learned? I hope so. Oh yeah. You are raising your hand now. Am I wrong? Yeah, because yeah. Yeah, now I find out good. Well, if you say that,
Our teacher person.
But I still get to say I'm going to get for students. If that we manage me, just and I chat. So that's why any other person.
can you know everything? Are you good?
I'm going to say.
How you know? See, the thing is, let me tell you. People, guys, listen. Even senior engineers, senior software engineers with decades of experience, they still use Stack Overflow.
Yes.
They still type questions on Google. So why do you want to know everything?
Just know how to use it.
Just know how to. I have a problem. Know how to solve the problem. You are good to go. Any other thing? So we can call it a day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. God willing.